Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the biggest RPG games ever made. It came out in early access in 2020 and sold over 1 million copies in the first week. The game is now launching on full release in August 2023 and is anticipated to be one of the greatest RPG games of all times, and perhaps even the game of the year. So what makes the game so good, and should you buy it? Let's find out. Baldur's Gate 3 is set in a rich and immersive world of Dungeons and Dragons. The game takes place in the Sword Coast of the Forgotten Realms, where the city of Baldur's Gate serves as one of the major hubs, and the game's atmosphere is a mixture of high fantasy mixed with deep, dark, and sometimes even disturbing themes, presenting a complex and layered narrative. And since the initial launch in 2020, the game has undergone numerous improvements, notably in the graphics, gameplay mechanics, and more balanced character progression. And this constant evolution of the game has helped it immensely in providing a more immersive and engaging player experience. And the nature of the game is truly expansive, providing players with a multitude of quests, exploration, character interactions, and hard-fought battles. And the heart of all of this is a role-playing game that offers you the chance to craft your own unique storyline. And one of the best and most unique aspects of the game is its emphasis on player choice and consequence. The game allows you to shape the world around you with your decisions, which can lead to various outcomes and paths. Combined with a beautiful crafted world and the immersive storyline, this provides a truly rich and varied gaming experience, and is one of the major reasons why the game has done so well even in early access. Now, at the core gameplay of Baldur's Gate 3, you have an immersive high fantasy role-playing game that brings both Dungeons and Dragons enthusiasts and fans of in-depth RPG alike. And the gameplay revolves around exploration, combat, character development, and decision making, with each aspect finally interwoven to create a cohesive and immersive experience. Let's take one of the quests as an example. A local in a town may tip you off about some goblin activity near a nearby settlement. You can choose to approach this in numerous ways, sneaking around to gather information, charging in with weapons drawn head first, or even employing charisma to negotiate. That choice is entirely yours, and each decision will impact the game world in a unique way. And as you progress throughout the game, you will unlock a multiple of abilities, skills, spells, and perks for a character that significantly enhances your strength and cover your weaknesses. And this process starts out basic but becomes more nuanced and strategic as you advance, appealing to both the new players and hardcore RPG fans. And the game's progression is closely tied to the storyline and character development. The early game focuses on understanding the game mechanics, building your party, and immersing you in the narrative. And as you progress, you'll encounter increasingly complex combat scenarios and challenging moral decisions, and a rich unfolding of a character's story. And the storyline is a centerpiece of the game. It's a thrilling tale filled with diverse characters, each with their own motives and secrets. And it's not linear at all. Your choices will dramatically affect the direction of the plot. Side quests are abundant, offering unique stories that sometimes intertwine with the main plot, giving even more depth to the world and its inhabitants. And the world map in Baldur's Gate 3 is large and filled with diverse environments to explore. And it's not traditionally open world, as certain areas only unlock after you progress throughout the story, but it does offer significant freedom in terms of exploration. From dense forests to sprawling cities and ethereal plains, each location holds quests, secrets, and encounters that will reward the explorer. And exploration isn't just a thing to pass time. It is a key to uncovering lore, finding new quests, and gaining valuable resources. Now, all that being said, the game can be quite challenging, especially for newcomers to RPGs or Dungeons and Dragons rule set. The game won't hold your hand. There is a helpful tutorial at the beginning that covers the basics, but the intricacies of combat, character progression, and decision making are left for the player to discover. For instance, a player might encounter unexpected ambushes or misjudge the strength of enemies, leading to swift defeats. Also, dialogue options you thought were benign could lead to a dire consequence, and it's all part of the game's charm. And the game firmly embraces the trial and error approach. It encourages players to experiment with strategies, character builds, and dialogue options, and each playthrough can be significantly different from the last one, offering you story developments, character interactions, and outcomes. And in fact, the game is the most rewarding when you throw the guides away and let all your decisions happen naturally. Now, the game will primarily cater to the hardcore RPG players due to the depth and complexity. However, the game is definitely also worthwhile even for newcomers. You just have to embrace the trial and error approach from the beginning. Now, in the early game, Baldur's Gate 3 feels like an open book full of possibilities. The narrative draws you in right from the start, introducing you to the perilous situation your characters find themselves in. And the feeling of adventure and exploration are palpable from the get-go. And players will face a plethora of dangers in their journey, ranging from hostile creatures, environmental hazards, and even their own party members if their interests clash. And early on, an ill-timed encounter with a group of bandits or a misstep in a conversation can have serious consequences. Baldur's Gate 3 brings several unique aspects to the table, both in terms of specific game context and the broader RPG genre. Firstly, it's heavily rooted in Dungeons and Dragons rule set. It is a world where you dice roll, determining everything from combat outcomes to dialogue, and that creates a deeply immersive D&D tabletop experience in a video game format. The game also stands out in terms of narrative scope. It features deep, branching storylines influenced by the player's decision. Relationship with party members are complex and evolving, affected by choices made during the game. Another unique aspect is the integration of vertical and exploration and combat. The environments are rich and multi-layered, allowing for strategic utilization of the high ground, hidden pathways, or environmental hazards in both exploration and battles. Now, the combat in Baldur's Gate 3 is intricate and dynamic. It is turn-based, with each character, including enemies, getting a turn to move, attack, or utilize skills, spells, or items. And positioning and terrain play vital roles in battles, and you can shove enemies off cliffs or higher grounds, blow up flammable barrels to create chaos, or even manipulate the environment to create cover. And as the game progresses, battle become more complex and demand tactical thinking. With new abilities, spells, and weapons, you must strategize to synergize with your party members, to enhance your strengths and exploit enemy weakness. If you find this helpful, a like on the video helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm, and I'd really appreciate the support. The game also offers immense build diversity, allowing you to tailor your own character and party to your playstyle. Starting with a character creation, you can choose from a range of races, each with their own traits and classes, and they all have their own unique skills and abilities. And as you level up, you'll be presented with a multiple of choices for ability upgrades, feat selections, and skill enhancements. And the game features a multi-class system, allowing for a high degree of customization and flexibility. You could start out as a stealthy rogue, then branch into the wizardry to add magical prowess to your arsenal, or combine a paladin and a cleric class for a holy warrior build. The possibilities are numerous. The game's progression also introduces potent artifacts and magical items you can further refine and enhance your build, and every choice you make will contribute to a personalized gaming experience. And the game shines the brightest in the multiplayer aspect. The game does allow for both solo and multiplayer, basically co-op up to 4 players, and this means you and your friends can form an adventuring party and navigate the game together. And in this co-op mode, every player controls a character in the party, bringing their own unique abilities and skills to the table, and this allows for a diversity of strategies and tactics, making battles and challenges more interesting and dynamic. And trying to combine all the strength of all the players is part of the experience and why multiplayer is so much fun. In terms of crafting, Baldur's Gate 3 employs a simple yet effective system. It's a departure from more complex crafting mechanics seen in other RPGs, and it primarily revolves around potion making, food preparation, and item modification. For example, you might use herbs that you find around the world to create healing potions, or utilize the campfire to cook various types of food, which can grant you temporary buffs to your party members. There's also the opportunity to modify weapons with elemental properties or add enchantments to your armor, granted that you find the right resource and recipes. And even though the crafting system is somewhat limited and simple, the system focuses more on supplementing the adventure rather than being a centerpiece of the gameplay. Now, that being said, the crafting does feel meaningful and impactful, and it will provide you with a viable alternative to acquire potions and buffs without needing to rely solely on vendors. And it's a straightforward and user-friendly system, and provides you enough depth to keep players engaged without overwhelming them with complexity. Now, the game will launch on full release in August of 2023, and the retail price will be $60, and it is absolutely worth it. There is definitely reason to be apprehensive about it if you're looking at it during early access, since the gameplay is fairly limited, but $60 for the amount of content and also the quality of content you will get on full release definitely makes it a great game. And you can even buy it now during early access to try out the first parts of the game before the actual release, and it'll still be well worth it. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 employs a beautiful, fully rendered 3D world that is visually impressive. Built on the Divinity 4 engine, the game offers stunning visuals, including intricate character designs, atmospheric lighting, and detailed environments that range from claustrophobic caverns to expansive landscapes. And the visual style maintains a gritty and grounded feel that perfectly matches the high-stakes fantasy world that the game is set in. And the game's sound design is equally impressive, featuring an immersive soundtrack that is both engaging and immersive. Whether it's the eerie quiet of a mysterious dungeon, the soothing sound of a bustling city, or the heart-pounding rhythm of a dramatic battle, the sound and music design contribute significantly to the overall atmosphere of the game. And Baldur's Gate 3 is an immersive experience that goes beyond just the visual and sound design. The depth of gameplay mechanics, the richness of the world and its lore, and the complex narrative and character interactions all come together to create a truly engaging experience. For instance, the thrill of successfully navigating a dialogue encounter using clever role-playing, or the satisfaction of devising a perfect battle strategy that uses the environment to advantage. All of these contribute to a sense of immersion that is rarely seen in games, and the tension it creates is almost unbearable. Let me know in the comments if you got that reference. Let's go over the pros and cons of the game. Starting with the pro, the game offers a deep role-playing experience, and the game takes the RPG mechanics to the next level. With numerous of dialogue options, skills, and abilities to choose from, it truly allows players to carve their own unique path in the game's world. Your choices matter, and they can dramatically shape your journey and its outcome. The next pro is the high replayability. Thanks to the massive character customization and multiple narrative paths, you can play this game over and over again and still discover new and exciting things. And next pro is the rich and immersive world. The game world is beautifully designed and richly detailed. The setting is highly immersive, teeming with fascinating characters and intricate lore to delve into. And the next pro is definitely the multiplayer. The game provides you with a fantastic co-op mode, which really enriches the gameplay. It's not merely a tag-on, but a real intricate feature that expands the gameplay in unique ways. And every player can interact with items and dialogue in their own way and make their own choices. You are not bound to your party leader. And now for the cons. The first con is a steep learning curve. The game is fairly complex and can be overwhelming for newcomers, especially if you're new to the genre. The game does not hold your hands through the systems, so be ready for a challenging iteration and for a lot of trial and error. And next con is the optimization and technical issues. The game is not super optimized and can have a lot of performance issues, so definitely look up your specs and see if they can handle the game before buying it. The game also features quite a numerous amount of bugs, anything from falling through the world to simply doors not opening, and they have fixed a lot of these over the years of early access, but you will still encounter them fairly frequently, but not as game breaking as it used to be. But do your research, check if the game will actually run on your PC before buying it. And now for the grading and conclusion. So the first thing we're grading on is the gameplay, and it is rich and rewarding, offering depth, complexity, and an array of choices that truly affect the game world. And here I give it a 9 out of 10. The game does have a steep learning curve and is quite challenging, but once you get the hang of it, it offers an incredible role-playing experience. And this score could even go up further once they do a bit more performance optimization. And next thing grading on is the graphics, sound, and immersion. And with detailed environment, high quality character models, and stunning visual effect, the game is a visual treat. And here it gets a 9.5 out of 10. This also includes the sound design, the music, and voice acting, which all contribute to a highly immersive D&D fantasy world. And the final thing we're grading on is replayability and progression. The game offers high replayability thanks to a deep character customization, branching narrative, and a variety of ways to approach situations. And here I give it a 9 out of 10 as well. The progression is satisfying as players can clearly see the character grow and become more powerful over time, starting off with very basic skills and slowly but surely progressing and choosing what character you want to make. So in conclusion, Baldur's Gate 3 is a challenging game that does not shy away from complex mechanics and strategic depth. However, this is also the main charm. It is a game that offers a rewarding experience for those who actually invest the time into it and understand the mechanics and delves into the world. It truly allows players to live their own unique fantasy adventure where every choice and action has an impact. And the game is definitely recommended for players who love in-depth role-playing games, especially fans of D&D and previous Baldur's Gate titles. If you enjoy games where your choices matter, where you can dive deep into character customization, and where strategic combat is a key component, then Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely worth adding to your library. So in conclusion, Baldur's Gate 3 is an ambitious and captivating RPG game that has a lot to offer to the right player. It provides a truly immersive role-playing experience set in a rich and detailed world. So if you're ready to take on this challenge, then this game is for you. But what do you think? Do you think it's worth it? Leave a comment down below and let us know. And lastly, as a small channel, please consider hitting the like button as it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. So thank you so much for doing that. Also, if you're looking for more game reviews, make sure to check out the rest of the channel. And I think you also enjoyed one of the videos on the screen now, so make sure to check those out and I'll see you there.